you know, on the role of non-violence in achieving our freedom. Was the role of non-violence in achieving India's independence overplayed to be made to look like it's the only theme? And emanating from that, a follow-up question where you can deal with both together. Is there an opposition or an embarrassment about the role of armed resistance in achieving our freedom?
So an armed resistance is the most natural of things. Almost every other country in the world employed it to gain freedom. So nothing very unique to us. The problem is that the story that we are told in official sources is that somehow this movement in India for gaining freedom was uniquely non-violent. Now I'm challenging that. Now I'm not saying that the non-violent movement did not have a role. It did have a role. But the fact of the matter is there was also this other movement, which was a very large movement, which, by the way, didn't just involve the revolutionary networks themselves, but had links to, for example, peasant movements like the Eka movement, or the tribal revolts, for example, by Alluri Sitaramaya Raju, now made famous by RRR. So there were all these other movements that were going on, which were interconnected with each other, and they went on for a very long time. And I said, culminating, of course, in the naval revolt of 1946. But, you know, with major revolts like the Chittagong Armory raid and other sort of incidents, which continuously happened. So it's not something that just happened in one spark.
But my question was the role of non-violence overplayed?
Absolutely.
And why was it overplayed? Because we've all been brought up with that ideal. Well, that, you know, if someone slaps you on one cheek, you must turn the other cheek and get slapped on all the cheeks till the other side tires out, and then you will have a moral victory over them. My question to you was that generations of Indians, you and me, have grown up feeling that all that brought us was a passive, non-violent resistance. Now, was that overplayed?
Absolutely overplayed. And there are many reasons for this.
By whom and why?
Well, first of all, you see, the revolutionaries were a big movement. They were even big inside the Congress, big enough that Netaji was able to defeat the Gandhians in an open election within the Congress. But what happens at independence is that most of these big leaders of the revolutionary movement have essentially been killed, or they have died from natural causes in a few cases. Some have been sent to the gallows and so on. So the revolutionaries don't have any leadership left. So when India becomes free, it is essentially comes to be ruled by one faction of the Congress party, and perhaps they are human and they overplay their own role. But here is where I think they really went wrong. They deliberately go out there and suppress alternative narratives. One example of that is R.C. Majumdar, perhaps the greatest historian India has produced in modern times. And he is simply pushed aside deliberately for bringing up other narratives of our freedom struggle.